The 2024 Toyota Tacoma is finally here, and it is being offered with many different features and configurations. But even with all the differences through its lineup, there is one thing that's consistent. It's a new truck, not just a facelifted previous model, with a design that qualifies as contemporary with an attractive overall look. The Ford Ranger Raptor was floating as the forbidden fruit that was inexplicably excluded from the launch in the United States. But with it being greenlit for release, it's looking like a strong contender in the segment. And with both entering their all-new generations within the last year, it's time to line these trucks up and see how their specs compare. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. This year marks 3 decades since the first Tacoma arrived in the US, and even as the oldest design in its class, the current Tacoma is still the most popular. This all-new model feels familiar but modernized. There is a big hexagonal grille resembling that on the Hilux, blocky wheel arches, and the Tundra-styled LED taillights. On the other hand, the big chin spoiler that demolishes ground clearance on the Sport Unlimited certainly looks awkward. Toyota doesn't provide any measurements, but the overall package doesn't feel much larger than before. Another thing to mention is the return of the 2-door variant as the extra cab. The previous Ranger looked pretty simple, but it has been totally redesigned for the 2024 model year, adopting bolder front-end styling inspired by the larger F-150. In profile, a few soft lines and some sculpting on the lower door panels are about the only things resembling style flourishes. Having the model name stamped across the tailgate lets anyone behind know what they are looking at. It holds its own against the Tacoma when it comes to the looks department. Jumping inside, the new Tacoma's interior finally corrects a long-standing issue with a seat that sits over an inch higher than before to correct the feeling that you were sitting on the floor. Up top, the roof has been raised by the same amount so that the repositioned seat does not result in diminished headroom. Add this to an improved steering wheel with more movement range, and you get a superior seating position. The interior is really good looking, with logical controls and a new look that suggests no switchgear was carried over. The center screen stands within easy reach, and an 8-inch touchscreen comes standard inside the Tacoma, while an optional 14-inch display is standard on the limited TRD Pro and Trail Hunter. That larger screen pairs with a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, while a smaller 7-inch cluster comes standard. As for the Ranger, the cabin receives a modern look with an available digital gauge cluster, textured dashboard trim, and honeycomb-patterned air vents. Most of the truck's various controls and buttons have been digitized and are now part of the infotainment system. Ford has incorporated several interior storage solutions into the new Ranger's interior design, including a hidden upper glove box in the dashboard, larger door pocket cubbies, and storage located under the truck's rear seat. The only body style this time around is the Super Crew Cab, which features 4 full-size doors with seating for 5. A 10.1-inch infotainment display is standard, but buyers with a focus on tech can upgrade to an even bigger vertically oriented 12.4-inch screen. Ford's latest Sync 4 interface runs on both and provides access to the Ranger's various controls. All models also get a digital gauge display of either 8 inches or 12.4 inches. When it comes to suspension, both trucks feature wide track suspensions with control arms and coil springs up front and a solid axle at the back. Both also feature 33-inch tires, but the Ford uses 17-inch wheels with LT tires, while Toyota runs on 18-inch rubber that lacks the LT designation. Like its bigger brother, Fox 2.5-inch live valve adaptive dampers are fitted to the Ranger Raptor, with remote reservoir rear units that are mounted in the inverted positions to trim unsprung mass. The Ford's rear axle rides on a new coil spring setup, and it is located by 4 trailing links with a Watts linkage keeping it centered. The TRD Pro's wide track stance is a first for this model. Fully 3 inches broader than the base SR5, it might just eclipse the competition. Fox 2.5-inch dampers are used, but they are QS3 units with 3 levels of manually adjustable compression dampening. The rear dampers are not inverted because Toyota prefers to keep the shafts of the shocks up high away from bouncing rocks. The Pro has one other notable feature others can't match: Fox IFP hydraulic rear bump stops to cushion hard landings. As for off-roading ability, both trucks use part-time 4-wheel drive with a low-range transfer case that enables a driver to select from 2-wheel drive high, 4-wheel drive high, and 4-wheel drive low as needs dictate. Ford's Ranger Raptor offers a modest 33 degrees of approach clearance, with a healthy 26.4 degrees at departure. Breakover clearance is 24.2 degrees, and maximum ground clearance is also 10.7 inches. The off-road drive modes are off-road, rock roll, and Baja, and there is a trail control off-road cruise control and a trail turn assist feature that drags the inside rear brake to tighten the turning radius. The part-time four-wheel drive system has an added 4-auto setting too. The Raptor has lockable front and rear differentials. The TRD offers a higher 11 inches of maximum ground clearance. Its approach and departure angles are 33.8 and 25.7 degrees respectively, and its breakover angle is 23.5 degrees. The names of its terrain management modes are still unknown, but as before, the TRD Pro only has a rear differential locker, but it does have a feature that the Ford lacks, and that's a push-button front anti-roll bar disconnect. Toyota says the bar can be disconnected under load, and that doing so improves total suspension flex by 10% over the current model. As for towing capacity, the Raptor is rated at 5,500 pounds, and it has a built-in 2-inch receiver hitch. Payload capacity is rated at just over 1,400 pounds. An integrated trail brake controller will also be on the menu, but we don't know yet if it will be standard or require the purchase of a trailer tow package. A 360-degree camera is on offering, and Ford has announced Pro Trailer Backup Assist for the Ranger in general. Little is certain when it comes to the TRD Pro's towing and hauling prowess, although the i4 Max crew cab is said to be good for 6,000 pounds of towing and a massive 1,700 pounds of payload capacity for two-wheel drive truck, and they will offer a trailer backup guidance system, a 360-degree camera, and a unique system that uses extra rooftop shark fin antennas to support an accessory rear-view camera you can mount on your trailer. Under the hood, turbocharged engines are what's available for both. Ford's Ranger Raptor is powered by a 3-liter EcoBoost twin-turbo V6, and it makes a class-leading 405 horsepower with a torque output of 430 pound-feet. This engine is backed by a 10-speed automatic transmission, but that transmission may be a bit overkill since it seems that 8 speeds is more than enough. The surprise here is the Tacoma's iForce Max hybrid powertrain, which is what you get when you combine the turbocharged 2.4-liter inline-4 with a powerful electric motor generator. The combination is good for 326 horsepower and a class-leading 465 pound-feet of torque, and the combined output passes to the wheels through a new 8-speed automatic that replaces last year's unevolved 6-speed. Last year's manual is no longer available on the Pro, as this gearbox is incompatible with the hybrid powertrain.